The iPad Air 5 is quite an iterative yet groundbreaking design. It's iterative in the sense that it doesn't do much different from its predecessor, but groundbreaking because of the fact that it has the same processor inside of it that I use in my MacBook Pro to edit videos for this channel on, as well as the same processor that's in Apple's iPad Pro line. But all that being said, all that power inside, it's never gonna run anything other than iOS. And you know why? Because it's an iPad, and that's okay. I think people often underestimate the power under the hood when it comes to tablets. I mean, maybe it's because we're always so focused on RAM and processor and specifications inside of smartphones, which we use a hell of a lot more than tablets, obviously. Or is it because we're so used to computers being so much more powerful than tablets? Now, that's quite the discussion to be had here, because now we're at a time, literally, where our tablets are just as powerful as our computers, but are limited by the software they run. Oddly, many out there complain that the iPad just doesn't have the software resources available to perform as a computer or to completely take the place of owning a computer. But honestly, I think that's just a small niche of people that feel that way. I mean, there are so many creatives that live and die by doing work on their iPad currently. And sure, many of us, including myself, would love to be able to full-on edit a video using the exact same software that I use on a Mac right on the iPad and have the transition between the two be seamless, whether I want to switch over from my iPad to my Mac or from my Mac to my iPad. But you know what? A lot of people out there just want an iPad that runs macOS. The proof that we'll likely never get something like that is right there in the name of the operating system, macOS. I feel like Apple could definitely create some foldable 2-in-1 that, folds into an iPad-like shape, but definitely runs macOS. But again, this is just an iPad. The iPad Air is one of the most powerful tablets on the market for the least amount of money now. And with the M1 chip inside, 8 GB of RAM, and a 10.9-inch laminated IPS display, it's got the basic inner workings of a MacBook. Heck, for most people, there's not gonna be really a big difference between the iPad Air and Apple's iPad Pro line. I've been using my 2018 iPad Pro since it launched, and I've not once had the urge to upgrade from it. I mean, after switching to this less expensive iPad Air, honestly, in my opinion, there's not much of a difference here. Sure, I don't have Face ID and the display isn't as bright and there's no ProMotion on the Air line, but all those things are trade-offs that I'm willing to personally make because iPads are more designed to be future-proof than they are powerful. And hear me out here, right? This 2018 iPad Pro that I had lasted me 4 years about. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Now, let's be real here. The iPad Air doesn't have any sort of crazy or good camera system. It just has a simple 12 megapixel shooter on the back. But I can count on one finger how many times I've used that rear camera. Once. On top of that, the front-facing camera is also 12 megapixels, but it is the ultra-wide camera and it uses center stage, which can be helpful for things like FaceTime or Zoom, stuff like that. We have stereo speakers here. There's a USB Type-C port, but even with those trade-offs I mentioned, this iPad Air literally performs exactly the same for me as my super expensive 1TB cellular iPad Pro did. And that's really saying more for the lifespan of an iPad than it is for the power that's inside of it. You could easily pick up an iPad nowadays and keep it for 5 to 6 years. I mean, at a minimum, I feel like. I do a ton of creative work on my iPad. Hell, I use Lightroom on my iPad 100 times more than I ever do on a Mac because you know what, it just feels so much more intuitive, especially with Apple Pencil and just having something in my hand that I can hold and make edits on. It's so much more freeing. And you know what, I also use Photoshop a lot, and the full potential of these apps are definitely there now on iPad. And this is so far different from where we were, maybe 4 years ago. I'm a big fan of the iPad and the Magic Keyboard combination. I mean, this thing even has a damn trackpad on it. It's so close to being a computer that it's comical. But I use the thing to script videos and edit photos all the time. And I even edit videos on my iPad on occasion. I've gone as far as just only taking an iPad and an iPhone with me to an event, like a launch event, and just using that to shoot and edit an entire video for this channel. Like, it works great. And if you've never tried LumaFusion, It's a fantastic editing app for iPad. The thing is, at least for me, this iPad Air 5 is a perfect upgrade from my 2018 iPad Pro, and it's a strong contender against even the modern day iPad Pro line. Aside from a few differences, which a lot of people can easily look past, it's a great choice for most regular people doing most normal tasks. Regardless of if you're a creative person or simply somebody looking for like one device that will do work for you and is easily carried around, I feel like now is a better time than ever to pick up an iPad Air. And that's the thing, for most people out there who are living and working strictly on an iPad, you know, Apple's main demographic, those people have no problems and are just fine using the iPad exactly as it is. Like I said, there are a ton of powerful apps that will definitely take advantage of the speed and performance here. And I think that this iPad Air is fantastic because you know what? It does exactly what I need it to do when I needed to do it. Sure, like I said, I don't have ProMotion on the iPad Air. I don't have some of the extra little bells and whistles that come along with the Pro lineup. But those to me, they don't matter. Now I'm definitely making a guess here, but I would say 80 to maybe even 90% of people out there who own an iPad have one because it does exactly what they need it to do. And that's totally possible on this platform. Now, the other 20% or so of people that have an iPad that are maybe disappointed in it, maybe you had expectations that it would do the things that your Mac could do, and that's understandable. But for you Mac enthusiasts out there that want something in a smaller form factor, maybe there'll be a foldable 2-in-1 or something like that that will give you that experience in a more portable way, you'll probably get it one day, but it won't be an iPad.